key considerations to drive 3x faster releases and cloud deployments, and it would be taken up by Mr. Shirish Bhale and Mr. Ravi Kelotra. Let me introduce Mr. Shirish Bhale to you. He is the Director of Engineering Enterprise Solutions, having 20 plus years of experience in IT industry, and he manages DevOps multidisciplinary teams at Impetus. He has been involved in various DevOps initiatives on cloud, big data, CI/CD, agile enablement, and is a certified SAFe 5.0 program consultant. And I would also like to introduce Mr. Ravi to you. So he is working as a lead DevOps engineer and having almost 13 years of experience in IT industry. His expertise again is in Java J2EE automation, setting up CI/CD processes, and implementing solutions on cloud and performance engineering. So now I would request Mr. Shirish to take up the session to the audience.
Hey, hi, Surbhi. Thank you for that introduction and good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible, Surbhi?
Yes, you are clearly audible, and the video is also visible. Thank you.
Very good, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Surbhi, for that introduction. And I think I'm glad to be part of this session today. And I'm sure all of you are excited to hear about what we have been doing as a company, what are various areas that we have been operating on, and hope this has been exciting so far. So I and my colleague Ravi are going to talk about software delivery. I think all of you must be aware, right, that software delivery has been transforming since so many years, and it is becoming faster and faster. We used to have deliveries, once in a year. It came down from once in a year to once in 6 months. Then it came down to once in 3 months, and then it become faster. I don't know if you are aware the way Google or many large corporates deliver their software. They deliver maybe, let's say, 500 times a day, right? So how do they achieve that? How we should enable this. So this is our topic today, right? So how can I enable a software delivery, any software delivery for that matter, and make it faster? And Ravi is going to help me move the slides here. So Ravi, can you go to the next slide and I'll set the context? Yeah, thank you. So, and before we talk about software delivery, which is one of the important aspect of DevOps world, I would like to take a few minutes to cover what DevOps is. And then many of you might be working in DevOps, you might be aware of what DevOps is, you might have heard about it, but people have different meanings, right? Somebody says DevOps is this, somebody says DevOps is this. We want to talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about some of the tools and technologies that we operate on in DevOps. The execution model of DevOps, how do you execute a project in DevOps, right? What all things you do, what activities you do there. We won't talk about that. And then the central piece for today's discussion, which is more on the continuous integration and continuous delivery, which is nothing but how would I enable a software to be delivered quickly to the end user. So how would I continuously integrating my software, keep integrating my software? How would I deliver it? So why it is needed? What's the landscape of CI/CD? And I'm calling it as CI/CD, which stands for continuous integration and continuous delivery. We'll talk in detail about what exactly it is, why it is needed. We'll do a quick demo of one of our reference environments. We'll also see what kind of advantages it provides and how it actually enables us to deliver things faster. Right, so that's the idea which you want to cover. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And yeah, I think question answers, I think whatever questions that you keep thinking about, or if they pop up in your minds, please share them. I think with Surbhi towards the end, as we did it in earlier sessions, we'll take them up and we'll answer as much as possible. So, so DevOps, right? So as word says, right, DevOps is, you have developments and you have operations, and traditionally speaking, These two are like teams where they operate in silos. So you have development teams who will develop a software and they will give it to operations team to deploy it on a production server so that somebody can use it. So you may have an Axis Bank, let's say, software, a web applications, which I think most of you must be using a banking solution, right? So somebody must be developing that solution and somebody must be deploying it so that as users, you could use that, right? So there are dev teams, there are ops teams. And what DevOps does, it's basically combines both these teams so that we can deploy and deliver software quickly. So that is the intent of DevOps. And in terms of areas that we work on, if you see this diagram on the screen, on the middle section, if you see at the bottom of it, which is infrastructure, right? So for any software to be deployed, you need infrastructure. You need a machine. You either need a physical hardware or you need a cloud, right? Where you can deploy your software. And the moment we say infrastructure, which is hardware or cloud, it comes up with, setting up the infrastructure, setting up networking around them, securing that infrastructure, monitoring that infrastructure. How would I optimize and use maximum resources with minimum infrastructure? All that comes under cloud management or hardware management, right? The second layer on top of it is platform. So once you have your infrastructure, I think most of you must have seen JDK or your Tomcats or your web servers, application servers. Many of you are familiar with big data technologies. You have your Hadoop environments, you have your Kafka's queues. All of that comes under platform where you may have multiple nodes. It's not like one server or one machine. You may have hundreds, thousands of nodes, which we call it as a cluster. So how would I manage that cluster? How would I administer that cluster? All that comes under platform management. And on top of this, now your application resides. So again, I mean, you have Java, you have Tomcat, and now you're deploying your application on top of your Tomcat, which is maybe a J2E application, right? So your applications are deployed, or maybe in big data world, it is workloads, which are your MapReduce programs, which you deploy on top of these platforms. So in DevOps, we look at cloud management, infrastructure management, we look at platform management, we also look at application support and application management. So these are core areas that we work on. And if you see on the left side of the diagram is which cuts through all of these, right? Where we look at continuous integration, continuous deployment, and automation. So some of you might be aware, right, that these days infrastructure is like as a code, right? You can code infrastructure. If you need an extra machine, you just write 2 lines of code and you'll get an extra machine with execution of that code, right? Similarly, platform components you can automate. You can even automate application deployments. All of that comes under the left side, which is written here, where you are building the application, you are releasing the application. It's a single click deployment, meaning you just click a button on your keypad and your application will get built, it will get tested, it will get deployed, and the end user will be able to see that. And that's how people are doing it, right? And again, this area we're going to talk about in detail, which is continuous integration, continuous delivery. How exactly we do this, right? What are the nuances? What are the tools? What are the technologies that we use here, which help us get this delivery faster? And on the right side of it is more of processes where we look at DevOps as a mindset change also, because we are no more only operation folks, or developers will not consider themselves as developers only. It's more of a team effort where it's a culture in itself. It's more of like you modify your processes. I don't know how many of you have experienced on agile techniques like Scrum or Kanban, or recently I think Scaled Agile has also becoming very popular in terms of for larger teams, right? I have a team of 10-20 people. We can use Agile, but I have like 400 people team. How would I scale Agile, right? So there are various techniques, processes, methods where if you deploy those, you'll be able to deliver things faster with quality, with accuracy, and then that results in better ROI, right? That's the intent. Okay, so that's overview, right? What we do in DevOps at Impetus. A team of 100+ people here, and we, I think, interacting with many customers where we are enabling, their software delivery, their clusters. We are managing their clusters. And earlier session, you heard Mayank talking about AI ops and DevOps tools. We use such tools in our processes to be more productive to our customers. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so this is a snapshot of technology sets, right? So if you look at you can compare it with the earlier diagram which you just saw. On the middle side, you will see cloud technologies. So we operate on AWS, Azure, and Google extensively. These three cloud providers, popular cloud providers. On the platform side, Cloudera, Hortonworks, these are Hadoop distributions. And even each of the cloud providers have come up with their Hadoop distributions, right? You might be aware with EMR or Dataproc or HD Insights. And there are platforms for containerization, Kubernetes or Snowflake that we operate on. On the application side, which are use cases, Python, Spark, Hive, from data sciences perspective, we use R and TensorFlow, some of these technologies. And again, this is not the only one that we operate on. I'm just giving you a brief snapshot of the popular ones which we used extensively. There are so many. I think if I try to put them here, it will look like very congested. So that's on the application platform and cloud. If we look at the left side, these are some of the tools, right? Jenkins, I'm sure most of you have heard of it or must have used it. Gradle Maven is more of a building tool. Dockerization, I mean, the boat and fish which you see is more of as a Docker containers. How can I package my application in a container and then ship it? SonarQube, Nexus, some of these tools for continuous integration and delivery. And on the right, extreme right, you will see some of the processes which I just spoke about, right? Scale Agile, or we use tools like Remedy or ServiceNow, Jira extensively for managing the incidences in the whole software delivery process. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is interesting, probably, where you will see how the DevOps process get executed. So if you look at the middle section of it, see the phases row, right? So all of you are aware, right? A standard SDLC, where if you want to develop a software, it goes through plan, develop, build, deploy, QA, release, and maintain phases, right? That's a typical development life cycle. What we do in DevOps is if you see the bottom part of it, is some of the activities, right, where it's you must have heard of engineering teams or development teams. They will start developing software quickly. They'll start integrating it quickly, and they'll keep it ready for, let's say, operations team to deliver. So if you look at the maintain activity, which is the last activity, and see monitoring, alerting, or you take a look at production system, you ensure that the system is up and running all the time. So typically we start from there, and then we try and move towards the left in the diagram, right at the bottom of the diagram, where we look at right from when we start developing an application. So what all things that would scale, what all things that we want to test before it gets deployed, what kind of automations that we want to do, so that it becomes really easy for the teams to deploy that software in production quickly. So continuous integration is I keep integrating the software and keeping it ready. Continuous delivery is more of how would I enable that for continuous deployment and use by end users. So that's how I'm able to do a delivery many times in a day, right? If I don't do this, you will see that the delivery is happening, once in 3 months, or once in a month, or once in 6 months, which is a problem in these days, right? When everything has become agile, the need of the hour is we keep keep doing agile deliveries, right? And how do we do this continuous integration and continuous delivery? What are the tools involved? How can we make it faster? This is what we are going to talk about, and Ravi can explain that in detail in the subsequent slides. I think that's all I wanted to cover with this. Ravi, can you take over and cover the next slides where we can go over the details? Over to you, Ravi.
Sure, Sirish. Thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the session. Just a quick check, so I hope everything is fine in terms of audio, video, and presentation. Can you please confirm?
Absolutely, Ravi. Absolutely, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I think Shirish has already briefed you about the various phases of software development lifecycle and the importance of continuous integration and deployment delivery into that. So in this particular section, we will deep dive into the continuous integration and deployment process. So basically, like you can see the standard definition of continuous integration on the slides. It is basically a practice of automating the integration of code changes into a single software from multiple contributors. So basically, like whenever we develop a software, right, we continuously add new features into that or provide a fixes of existing issues into the system. So the process or automated process of adding the new code into the existing software is basically called the continuous integrations. Now, once you are done with the adding of the new features into your existing software or the piece of code, the next phase is to like deploy that software into the various environment, and the environment can be like your dev environment, QA environment, staging environment, or production environment. So there we take the help of continuous deployment and delivery. So continuous deployment basically a release process that uses the automated testing tools just to identify like whatever the new changes that we have made into the existing code or the new code is up to that level that it can be rolled out into the production environment or not. So basically whenever we are rolling out these changes into your lower environment like your dev, QA, staging environment, it basically doesn't impact your business. But when the things are like when we need to roll out into the production environment, it may impact your business. So basically, like whenever you are rolling out the changes in higher environment, especially in the production environment, we takes a manual approval for rolling out those changes. So that is the basic difference between a continuous deployment and delivery. Whenever we are using the continuous deployment, we always keep one manual steps just to make sure before rolling out those changes into the production environment, we take the manual approval. But if we are very sure on our automation process or the testing framework that we are using to validate our code changes, we can use the continuous delivery where there is no manual intervention involved even when we are delivering the software on the higher environment. So this is the basic difference between a continuous deployment and delivery. If in a later stage, if we have the manual approval, we call it as a continuous deployment. But if there is no manual intervention involved from developing a software to delivering it into a higher environment, we call it as a continuous delivery. Now let's talk about the why we need the continuous integration and delivery. So I think Shri has already briefed, right? If we talk about the early phases when we were using the waterfall model, where we used to release a software once in a quarter or once in a month, right? Now, if we talk about after the invent of this continuous integration and deployment process, we are not rolling out the changes once in a day, not just in a once a day, but multiple times in a day. So basically, that the invent of the continuous integration and delivery basically reduce our deployment cycles where we are like rolling out the changes as frequently as possible. Now, if I am writing a single piece of code, right, that is getting rolled out on various environment. So definitely these changes are getting rolled out from the development to the UAT environment as well, or to the staging environment where customer can see those changes and just have a quick check like whether those changes are as per our expectation or as per the requirement or not, and can provide a feedback on those changes. So definitely like customer can see those changes or the implementation of those features very early and can provide a valuable feedback so that it can help us to avoid the rework in case of any mismatch between the requirement and the deliveries that we are providing. Now, as these changes are getting like roll out into the multiple environments, so we have to have a kind of better communication and collaboration between the team. Like if the feature is getting deployed in the dev environment or from dev to QA environment, then definitely the dev team has to have communication with the QA team. And when these changes are getting rolled out to the UAT environment, where it enforces you to have a communication with the customer to get a feedback. So it like enforce you to have a better communication and collaboration with the invent of the continuous integration and delivery process. Now, as we need to roll out these changes and multiple times in a day, definitely we can't do it with the help of manual process. So it enforces you again to have the automation in place. It is kind of a backbone of our entire CI/CD process, where we are like implementing the automation framework to roll out those changes on various environments. So it also enforces us to have the automation in place in order to deliver a software multiple times in a day. And once we have the automation in place, definitely it's going to reduce the cost of the software and also the IT stuff that is needed to support that software. So that is the kind of one of the major benefits. And another one is like whenever we are implementing a software, let's say suppose if I am spending $1,000 on a particular building a particular feature, and that is getting rolled out after 3 months, right? So I'm not getting or generating any business out of that software. So as soon as this feature is getting rolled out into the various environment and I'm generating a business, I'm getting a good return of investment. So that is one of the basic needs to have a CI/CD in place. Let's see, like in terms of all these particular slides, right? We have categorized what are the tools and technologies that is needed based on the categories when we are implementing the CI/CD process into our project. So on the right side, on the left side, if you see like the categories can be a source control management system, and you can see the relevant tools for that. So source control management is SCM is basically where you will keep your source code and in which you will be continuously adding your new piece of code. So for source control management, you can use the Git, code commit, Azure repos, cloud source, SVN and ClearCase. So these are the tools that is needed to keep your source code up to date. Now you can understand the importance of the CI/CD over here, right? You know, like the today's world is cloud computing world, and many of our customers are planning to migrate their service from on-premise to cloud. And if you consider any major cloud providers, whether it's AWS, Azure, or GCP, they have kept CI/CD as their one of the essential service, right? Because they know the importance of CI/CD in their cloud environment and how it can help us to release their softwares. So every major cloud provider, whether you go for Azure, AWS, or GCP, they have the CI/CD services in their market or in their platform. So okay, now back to this on the category side, there's a continuous integration server. So it is kind of heart of the entire CI/CD process, through which, or it is basically an orchestrator that will basically manage the deployment of a software from building software to deploying it on a various environment. So you can choose any of this continuous integration server like Jenkins, Code Pipeline. Code Pipeline is again from AWS. Azure Pipeline is from Azure. Cruise Control, Bamboo, TeamCity, CloudBees. So these are the major continuous integration servers through which you can like govern your entire CI/CD process. For build and packaging, you can go for any build tools like Maven, Code Build, Azure Repos, Azure DevOps, Gradle, and Grunt. So these are the building tools through which you will generate the artifacts. Artifact is basically your deployable files that you want to push into the various environment. It can be a WAR file, EAR file, zip, tar. So basically using the build and packaging tools, you will generate those artifacts and publish these artifacts into your central repository. So for a central repository like Artifact Repository Manager, you can use a Nexus, S3, Artifactory, Yum, or Docker Hub. So these are like all the central repository where you basically keep your artifacts. Why we need to keep all these artifacts? So let's suppose if we are rolling out the changes and something didn't went well, then we need to have those artifacts, right, to roll back our changes. So you can like take out the previous build from the central repository and then roll out your changes. And it will also help you to like keep a track of whatever artifact that you are releasing in a month timestamp or in a year timestamp. So this is about like building the artifacts and releasing it on the or publishing it on the Nexus repository. Now, how will you ensure the code quality of your artifacts? For that, you can use the unit test cases. So unit test cases, right? You can write in any of the unit test framework like JUnit, TestNG, Jasmine. So in case of unit test cases, basically we provide certain inputs and expect some outputs, right? If the output doesn't match as per our expectation, then we can fail the unit test cases. So it is a way through which you can validate your piece of code. And whenever like you are writing the unit cases, it should cover the entire newly added features. And in terms of identify whether your unit cases are covering the entire newly added code or not, you can take the help of code coverage reports. That can be like with the help of Vortura, EMA, Chocobo, Istanbul. You can also perform the static code analysis with the help of a PMD check style find bugs, through which you can identify is there any kind of duplicate code that we are writing, is there any proper indentation are there on in the code or not, is there any unused variable there in the piece of code. So you can identify all those things with the help of static code analysis. Now you have the unit cases, you have the code coverage reports, you have the static code analysis, but you need to have some integration, kind of a dashboard where you can see all those reports in a single place, right? So you can use a code quality dashboard like SonarQube. That is one of the famous dashboard where you can see all those reports, and also along with the trends, how your code quality is going over the time period. Once you are done with this, you can like deploy your application on any of the application server or the web container. And then after that, you can go for a QA automation just to validate, like after the deployment, my application is behaving as per my expectation or not. So just to validate that behavior, you can use the QA automation tools like JMeter, Sandstorm. Let's suppose if your application is REST endpoint, right? So in case of that, you can use the JMeter just to develop your script. And in that script, you will call those REST endpoint, and you can hard code those responses that you are receiving and validate it against the hard code values, whether it is coming as per my expectation or not, or you can also fail those validations if it is not matching. For source compliance, you can go for a black duck or check marks. Those are like will identify any vulnerability in your code. So for that, you can also integrate this black duck or check marks. Once you have like uploaded your artifacts on the repository, central repository, you have to download those artifacts and need to deploy on application servers. And the application server can be like a 1 application server, 5 application server, it can be 1,000 application servers on which your application is running. So you can use the deployment automation tools like Ansible, Chef, Puppets, Code Deploy, Terraform in order to deploy the application on various application server. Now you can see the like most of your application are being like turning into the microservices or being containerized. So you can also integrate the container management tool like Kubernetes and Docker Swarm with your continuous integration server. So this is all about the various tools and technologies that we have categorized based on the landscape. So this is all about that. Now let's move to the next slide. We'll see how the CI/CD environment should be and what is the standard behavior of the continuous integration and delivery models. So if you see on the left side, there is a team, and it can be a team of developer that is basically like working on any of the features. And once those are like done with that feature implementation, they can commit their code. So in a step first, we'll be like committing our newly added code into any of the SCM tools. That is like, let's say suppose in this case, it's a Bitbucket. Once the code has been integrated into the existing piece of code, then we can start the build process. So you can use any of the continuous integration server, but over here we are referring the Jenkins, and even in our demo we'll refer the Jenkins. So with the help of this continuous integration server, you can start the build process. The build process will basically check out the latest code from this source control management system, Bitbucket in this case, and will start the building process. And after the building process, it will like execute the unit test cases on top of that, just to make sure like it is as per our quality standard. And after the executing our unit test cases, we can publish our code coverage reports and all. We can also perform the static code analysis with the help of check styles, PMD, and find bugs, as it is shown on this point number 4. Once you are done with the unit test cases and static code analysis, then you can publish your reports on SonarQube just to have a kind of integrated dashboard where you can see the graphs and trends and all. You can also integrate the security scanning tools like Black Duck checkmarks just to check any vulnerabilities being added into the new piece of code or not. So that you can do with the help of these tools. Once you feel that everything looks fine and everything is working fine, then you can like package your software with the help of Maven or any other build tools like Gradle or something. And packaging means like creating deployable artifacts, whether it's a WAR, tar, or zip files. And then you will upload this artifacts into any of the central repository like Nexus in our case. So once we have uploaded the artifact on Nexus, Now the process of deployment starts. So in the case of deployment, if you see in the point number 9, we are using the Ansible as a deployment tool that will basically take out the latest code or the latest artifacts from the central repository and send it to the various application server for the deployment, and actually also perform the deployment process like extracting the tar file or extracting the zip files and then putting it on any particular place and all, restarting and stopping server. All those process or steps you can manage with the help of Ansible. Now, once my application has been deployed and it is up, I can write the automation suites with the help of JMeter or Sandstorm just to validate like my application is working perfectly on the dev environment or not. And once I am fine and everything looks fine to me, then I can promote this builds on the higher environment. So I think that is the standard CI/CD process or the environments that we talked about. Now let's see in terms of demo how it goes. Okay, so Ruby, can you confirm like my screen is still visible to you, right?
Yes, Ravi, it is.
So for this demo purpose, actually, like we are using the Jenkins as a continuous integration server, but we have like expertise on working on Jenkins, CloudBees, or various like the CI/CD process that is across the cloud, whether it's about the code build, code deploy process or code pipeline process on AWS or Azure DevOps process. So we have like worked on extensively on all of this CI/CD services. And just for the security concern, like we are not showing any of our client environment. This is our reference environment where we basically does our testing and practice on various tools or for deploying various application of various natures. Like if you can see on the dashboard, we can have the big data related applications, CI/CD pipelines, Kubernetes, some reference service. So these are like the various tabs views that we have created just for various services, and basically we do our POCs on this environment. So let's start with like how things work. So if you'll see, like this is my application server, and this is my application right now. You can see over here, this is my dummy application that I took from the net, and it is being deployed. And over here, you can see this is my application up and running. Now, as a part of this application, if I am one of the developer where I have to implement something and merge into this application, definitely I will go to the source repository where I have checked out the latest code over here. So consider this one is our latest code that we have taken out from the source repository. Okay. Over here you can see this welcome.jsp, right? So this is the JSP file where like we have our source code. Now if I am go and add a new line of code on this, for a time being, like let's consider like this is the features that I have added just now, but it is not like a simple one. It may be have a thousands of line of codes that you are adding, but consider like this is the new feature that I have implemented. Now I have to like push those changes into the my SCM, source control management system. So as of now we are using the Git for that. So I will go and add this file as implementation of features. Now I am pushing these changes on my central repository, sorry, not central repository, but my source control management system. So if you can see, like I'm done with the first part. If you'll see on the presentation where a developer is committing their code, right? So I am done with my feature implementation and I have published those changes into my central repository. Now the second part is like let's start building this process. So if you'll see, we have the one of the jobs that is dev pet cleaning a snapshot build where we are like building this project. Okay. So I can also like implement the webhook. So whenever I'm pushing any changes on that, it will automatically start building that build process. But just for the demo purpose, I didn't trigger that. So I wanted to show you this option as well. So I can go and start building the process. So if you'll see like this is one of the reference implementation, the Jenkins environment where you can see that this trend uses a nice graph of like how my builds are like or my code qualities or testing trends along with the time period, right? If you see like for all this build, I can see that how many unit test cases that I have executed, or you can also see the code coverage reports of the unit test cases that we have executed in a particular build. Let's say suppose on line number 1781, these are the 100% coverage of test cases I can see for the new codes you can see over here. So you can see a good trends of goods graph of where you can see all the analysis of whatever the execution that the test execution that you did, right? And in terms of this, you can also see the build logs. Okay. So if you'll see the build log, like over here in first few slides, basically we will be taking out the latest changes or latest code from the source control management systems, and then we are going to trigger the build process. Once we are done with the build process, we will be like running our unit test cases. So you can see like it has executed, all check has been passed. Okay, so these are like our if you'll see over here, we are running the unit test cases and then we are publishing that into our one of the central repository. So this is my central repository URL where I am uploading the artifacts after the build process has been completed. And once I am done with that, I'll be also publishing all those reports on the SonarQube. So you can get all these details in the build log, right? So over here I am publishing the reports on the SonarQube as well. It will say like a CPD and all the required details that is needed to analyze the. If you'll see like the SonarQube analysis has been done, and once we are done with the build process, it will like trigger the second job that is basically responsible for the deployment. So you can go over there and you can also see like just right now at around 13:29, right? The build process has been, sorry, the deployment process has been completed, and it is basically like on these steps, it is taking out the latest code from the central repository and then it is deploying on various Tomcat servers. And if you'll see on this check, okay, so here are like the latest changes that I made and it is getting reflected over here. So on the demo side, right? So you can see like we have take out the latest code from the central repository. We executed our unit test cases and everything in our build process. And once we are done with the build process, then we started our deployment process where we are like downloading the latest artifacts from the central repository. So this is the way like we are downloading. It is being downloaded, and once the download has been completed, we are running the deployment using the Ansible, where we are deploying this application on the Tomcat server. So, and over here you can see the latest changes has been reflected. So this is about our build and deployment process. You can also see the SonarQube, like this is the integrated dashboard where you can see various projects, right? So it is not like it just show you the code quality measures for just a single project, but you can see the code quality measures for the various projects, and that too with different technologies. So this is like this project is built on the JavaScript, maybe Node.js application. You can have the code quality measures for Python, Java, XML based application, and again for like JavaScript and all, and Python. So for all the unit for all the different technologies, you can the project that is built on the different technologies, you can integrate with the SonarQubes and you can publish the reports. Now if you'll go inside any one of this, let's suppose if I'll go for this Hello World examples, you can see the like how many tabs are there, the code smells, coverage, unit test cases. So as of now, just 4 unit test cases has been written, and that provides the 100% coverage of your code. You can go if you want to get the specific details of those. So you can also see like what are the classes for which we have written the unit test cases and all. Okay. So that is all about like the running the application and deploying it, and then seeing a kind of integrated dashboard. Okay. So that's on the demo side. I hope like everything is been presented, and if they have any doubts, so Surbhi, do we have any question right now on this, or we can move forward on the slides?
Considering the time, I would say you can move forward with the slides, and if time allows, we can take one out of them.
Now let's see like what are the benefit does it provide. So CI/CD advantages, definitely it provides us code quality analysis. So we have seen like we have gone through like you can write the unit test cases, you can have the static code analysis like using the check styles, find bugs, and you can also like scan your code for vulnerability using the check marks and like that. So it provides a static code analysis, and now what other advantages, like you can also set up the static code analysis violation thresholds. So basically like whenever we add new codes, right, there is a possibility like we will be like writing a code in improper way, or we are adding some vulnerability into the system. So you can set up a threshold like whenever my code coverage, let's say for example my code coverage is less than 80%, then I can break the builds. If my unit test cases are not covering the entire scope of my project or the entire code, and or less than the 80%, then I can break the builds, and in that case it won't go and deploy on various environments. So definitely it helps us to like it will never ship the broken codes on the various environments. So if your build process is being like hampered, or it's get failed because of any violations, or maybe because of some compile time errors, it will never go and deployed in any of the environment. It also helps us to like integrate the sanities, automation, and performance tests. So performance test is also one of the aspects where you deploy the application and everything looks fine, but what happens when the same application is being accessed by 100 users? So also you can integrate your performance suits along with your continuous integration delivery process that will make sure like whatever the application is you are going to deploy, it is sustainable when it is being accessed by hundred or thousands of users. So you can also integrate the performance test in your build and deployment process. It standardizes the build and deployment process. So the same build or the deployment process will be used to deploy the application on various environments. So anyhow, it's going to help you to standardize the build and deployment process. Everything is like automated, right? As you can see right now, I have like added a few pieces of or one line of code and then deployed it into the my dev environment. So using the automation, it will provide you the smooth and faster build promotions. So once I am done with the deployment on the dev environment, I can just promote the same build on various environments. So you can create a pipelines through which you can like deploy the same artifacts on the various environment. It also improves your release cycle. So basically we have the snapshot builds and release builds. Snapshot builds are like a build intermediate builds, those like we are deploying on a daily basis, and release builds are like the final version of those snapshot. So it helps us to like create a separate pipeline for snapshot builds as well as the release build. Once we are done with the build and the deployment, we can send the notification whether it's a deployment or whether it's a get failed. In any case, we can give the alert and notification to the end customer or the required customer. And we can also automate the monitoring of our build and deployment process with the help of the various continuous integration servers. DevOps clientele. So these are the like clients for which we have worked on, or we are continuously working upon. Few of them like in matured state, and few of them like where we have just started the adding the continuous integration deployment process. So you can see like there are many customers. If you consider Toyota, Marsh, American Express, United. So these are like the few of them. There are many of those customers that we have not mentioned over here, but those are like many of them are like for Fortune within the Fortune 100 companies for which we have implemented the continuous integration deployment process. Okay, for any feedbacks or any questions, I think just because of the time constraint, we are not taking any questions right now, or maybe we can take a single question. But in case of any questions or queries, you can reach out to us at pathmakers@impetus.com, or you can follow us on the LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. So I hope like you can take a screenshot of this, or we can also like visit our website or the ways through which we have promoted these sessions. You will get all those details on those pages as well. So feel free to reach out for in case of any questions or queries. So I think that's all from our side. And with this, I would like to hand over it to Surbhi.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Shirish.